I'll read, I think I'm going to read 6 or 7 poems, none long. But since Kerry ended with a poem in progress, sort of sounded finished. And for me, part of the process of revision is reading poems aloud then over the next month. So here's a poem, and it's a poem for St. Paddy's Day, I guess. It's called The Poisoning. Lesions blot your body, shallow red concavities like post holes mapping skin. Nerves wired to your spine detonate without warning. You'd pried panels off walls of the forsaken family pub, hauled out debris, wanting to return to your ancestral village, some vestige of community, and drew into your lungs the loosened arsenic dust as Ireland greened around you. Amateur carpenter daughter, spackling drywall, cutting trim, black wheelbarrow brimming with tainted slats of pine. You must have sensed the barbed particles of the past in your throat, the tumultuous chronicle of the country residing within you. Flying home, you recalled visiting the cliffs of Moira, a small child gazing west as you clung to your father's neck, wind slashing rock, the stony facade resisting the sea. The toxins will weaken with time, the blisters fade from your face. Now you're a citizen of history. And this is also new. You must have had, as I had awful jobs early on when I was, going through grad school and stuff. And so this comes out of that time. Scrambled. I dreaded the rush after Mass each Sunday as I dumped the dozens, feathers and shit still stuck to shells, into a metal vat, then tripped the mixer before straining the mess and splashing the glop on the griddle. I cleaned the coffee machine the size of a droid, while sweat rilled beneath my paper hat to wet the net bridling my beard. My bile shames me now. Someone else works those early morning shifts, someone still wearing her pancake shack smock while waiting in line at the post office for money orders to pay overdue bills, who paper-clipped exact amounts of dollars but lost track counting coins, so asks me, shifting behind her, for 15 cents to make up the difference for one last stamp, passes the change to the patient clerk, then licks the likeness of Gwendolyn Brooks, who would have hugged this woman hard and split with her a single egg for breakfast. Do you remember those Gwendolyn Brooks stamps? It's been a pleasure to sit here. Most of you are looking this way, so I'm sitting there, and it's great to see folks come up and open the door and look in and think, oh shit, poetry, and head on out. They don't know what they're missing. This is called Brooklyn Walk-Up. Too often my mother told the story of bundling me into the red snowsuit, leaving me scarved and ear-flapped, zippered to the chin, baby-bootied upon the quilted bed, while she wrestled the carriage 6 flights down tenement steps, only to return to a locked door, the key nestled in the handbag dangling from the inside hook. A cry like no other arose inside her. She rushed down crooked stairs out onto Covert Street, past the deli and funeral parlor, all the way around the corner to the Irving Avenue alley, where she grasped, then climbed, this new mother, the fire escape ladder rung by icy rung to reach the first metal landing, then clanged upward floor by floor until, crouched upon the uppermost grate, she could see the swollen, immobile, a doll-shaped pile. She raised the unclasped window, gathered me, grabbed her bag, descended once more the 6 floors to the cold carriage, then raced to the DeKalb Avenue BMT to meet my father home from work. Wheeled madly, I slept like a bobbing cork. She never told him how she'd shut me in, how she'd gaze through glass at the clump of cloth, the breathing heap of wool and cotton for which she'd leapt beyond her measure. Motherhood had turned uncommon. Years later, she took such pleasure in repeating the story. That boy swathed like an Andean child sacrificed on the mountain peak, mummified by the dry glacial winds, never to name his executioner. That boy, her favorite version of me. Thank you. You're welcome. You could save it all for one big applause at the end if you want. My father's comb. When my mother insisted that I take something, his 5-inch aluminum lifetime already outlined my back pocket. The comb, I'd watched him ply how many thousand mornings to rake his hair straight back while I waited my turn before the bathroom mirror. I wielded a 39-cent Ace Hard rubber with a dab of Brill cream to slick my mop before school, but for years now I've run his comb, as he did, under the cold water tap, then dragged across my scalp only the shorter tines of the guillotine-shaped tool of vanity and work ethic. Please take something, she'd said. My father 3 days dead, but I'd already nabbed the one object I knew I'd touch each day in such casual ritual to comb the grief away. Here's a poem that Ron was kind enough to publish in AQR. Do you know this? Some of you? It looks like something for an abortion, I know, right now with all that on our mind. But it was patented by Tomima Edmark in 1991 when my daughter was 3 years old, and it's called a topsy tail. Any of you use this? So, yeah, so, well, I'm going to explain in the poem. And I wrote this poem for my daughter on her 33rd birthday. Topsy tail. Winter mornings, not fully risen, still hunched on the mattress's seamed edge. I am there again, slumped on a distant bed, a woozy, dream deep, in flannel pajamas as you shuffle barefoot from your room, asleep flushed in a Rugrat's nightgown. With the brush you've brought me, I stroke your hair, its lush tangle, static electricity leaping off each bristle, off fingers smoothing a wayward curl, a mini pageantry to ignite the day. I coax light from this celestial circuitry, the bedroom beginning to brighten until hair flows along your spine, then slip a band into that sparkling cascade, open sesame, open the hair above, and with the cheap pink plastic dime store tool, a loop your ponytail through that portal into this French style, sweeping your neck. I could almost weep at how little it takes to make you content. You race to the television full of cartoons this Saturday morning 30 years ago. I miss that light, that living Rothko radiance, though no such brilliance must still exist. must crackle when someone else who loves you gathers your hair in their gentle hands. If you've been counting, I think that's 5. This is prayer with Caravaggio. I will no longer enter a cathedral unless it conceals a single Caravaggio in a recess reeking of incense, where one bulb illuminates the oils that they may shine more darkly, that I might recognize the human flaws in divine depictions and weep with wonder. I'd rather stroll the local mall, the Galleria in Milan, where women burdened with bags stop to scratch with one foot the bull's huge balls for luck. That mosaic on the tiled floor snorts near sliding open doors, where summer's dense, ungodly heat hammers the falsely frigid air, while prayers exhaled for centuries from nearby pews and candled naves diminish in the vaulting. Here is my prayer, murmured over ice, shaved into a paper cup, euroed from a vendor at the bottom of these cathedral steps where I sprawl, a syrup sweetening my tongue. I will no longer enter a cathedral, but wherever I go, I'll still pray with the sinful devotion of Caravaggio, who paid his prostitute, robed in blue, to pose for a tableau as the poxed yet holy Virgin Mary. And this will be the last poem. So when I met Mihaila about 27 years ago, and was courting her, was wooing her, I would invite her over to the house, and I'd make these wonderful meals for her. And then when she moved in finally, and she wanted to keep eating these meals, she pulled out those recipes and realized that they had been handwritten by my previous girlfriend. It's true. So, but the food was good, you know. So we still wanted to eat that food, so she started taking over and making these meals, but she would always change something. She would never follow those quite directions. She always changed something. And she also changed the name of the dinner, of the meal then. And so I mentioned the name of this particular one toward the end of the poem, but it's titled now what she had titled it. It's called Good Riddance Chicken. My wife still cooks some meals using my ex-girlfriend's recipes, their familiar cursive once thrilling in those years of exchanging letters with their catalogs of arousal, divulging where we would taste each other on those weekends we managed to erase the distance between her home and mine. Maryland, Connecticut, I-95, driving through downpour or snow, blasting cranberries or counting crows. She prepared exquisite meals, artichoke heart souffle or bass fillets poached with fennel for my midnight arrival, coddled eggs with shallots for breakfast, then mailed the recipes so that I might, in her absence, recreate each savory morsel. Now my wife revises each directive, shunning grapes but adding orange wheels, or switching shiitake for wild chanterelle, purring with Rihanna on the radio, crossing out the name of each dish at the top of the creased index card to substitute one of her own invention, but growing quiet when she reads again, looped at the bottom of her favorite recipe, the one for chilled Roquefort chicken, quote, always better when you add my company. Thank you so much. Ron, thank you for setting this up. pick up some copies of the terrific journal that we have that Ron brought for you. Mihaly and I came all the way over from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Ron came from Alaska. So, thank you.